Well, today's the show. You want to be on the show because today's Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, Marty, Flynn, and our guest, Rich Ingram. Effects in a different opener. I was supposed to be part of the show today, but it didn't work. So that's what you get as part of watching a live show, is that things that are supposed to happen that don't happen, and I don't know why they're not happening. But hey, we're going to figure it out. Reminder, this is an explicit show, so if you got kids in the room, you better move them out because there might be some F-bombs dropped. I got some Kangol hat on, I got some glasses on, I got a nice jacket on, I got a black shirt on, and I'm going to invite the friends into the lab this morning. We have old Christopher Martin. We have Jon Andersen.
Yo.
We have producer Christina Flynn, and we have Rich Ingram joining us here in the lab today, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah. What's happening?
What is going on today, guys?
It's another beautiful day. Beautiful day.
It is another beautiful day today. Yeah, there's a lot going on here on the screen. I was supposed to have a big opener that just didn't work this morning. I did it for Tina this morning, and it didn't go, but that's okay. That's completely all right.
That's what happens when we build the airplanes we're flying, brother.
That's right. It's exactly it. That's exactly it. So I want to offer some vulnerability up here on the screen here first thing in the morning. Johnny sat down this morning on the stage with us and said, "Boys and girls, I was battling a little bit of anxiety." Johnny, you never reveal that to us often. So what's going on in your head, pal?
Well, I was just honestly yesterday, I didn't even really know it. I was basically, it wasn't until about 10 o'clock I realized, what the hell, man, I'm carrying something around. I got something, climbing on holding on to my back. And so once I recognized what was going on, looking back, I believe what had happened is I didn't quite get my brain locked all the way into that basically completely committed to gratitude. So, I was moving that direction, but I didn't finish the job. And so basically gratitude didn't grab a hold, and that anxiety came back in, and it happened so kind of subtly. I didn't realize till about 10 o'clock, but today, ain't happening 2 days in a row, baby.
No kidding. Well, I like that you shared that with us because, we talk about helping our audience get their ass out of bed in the morning, not hit the snooze button, get on with their day. And sometimes we wake up with that anxiety on one shoulder. We wake up the excitement on the other shoulder, and they compete with each other. And
I wake up with anxiety every day. That's my first battle of the day is to get that dumb shit out of my brain and bring the good shit back in because that's just me. I mean, it was, you chalk it up to the way first chunk of my life, I woke up worried about what was, basically as a, dumb little son of a bitch getting picked on, who was going to spit in my face on the bus was one of my first concerns.
There you go. We got C. Marty Fit coming in with his pink Less Brunches More Crunches t-shirt today with the traditional trademark red Beats headphones. Tina's wearing her traditional trademark black t-shirt, the white AirPods. Johnny's got the black t-shirt on, the traditional typical red hat on. Richie Rich has got the black Leadville 100 shirt on today. Yeah, he's got the headphones on, joining us from Austin, Texas, and I'm rocking the old John Varvatos jacket today. I threw the jacket on today. Lauren's like, "What are you wearing?" I'm like, "Oh, I got a jacket. I'm sprucing up the old image." We're gradually going bougie, Johnny. We're gradually going bougie, buddy.
I'm not the gatekeeper. You got to talk to Marty on that one, babe.
We are gradually going gatekeeper. We are gradually going bougie. So I got to listen. If you're an athlete tuning into the show today, we're going to help you build your business. If you are a business guy, and you're like, I need to build my business, this is the right show as well. Our purpose, help you guys get going. Our purpose, help you guys hit your big audacious goals. Our purpose, help you be accountable to the biggest things you're working on. Today, and on every Wednesday, we have Rich Ingram joining us, the founder of Raw Resilience, veteran athlete resilience expert. From losing his arm in Iraq to conquering ultramarathon races like the Leadville 100, Rich's stories pure inspiration. But what really moved the needle is Rich comes back from Iraq and he's like, "Hey, American military, hey, government, I got shit to do. You guys aren't just letting me do stuff." So he just went and moved the needle and got a bunch of things happening with the military as he came back and moved the needle. But hey, I got a big topic for the morning loop this morning. The morning loop, the unpredictable 15 minutes to start your day. And Marty, when I saw this come across my desk, I thought about you, and then I thought about Johnny because of some of the content that Marty puts out. And here it is, guys. Brazilian couple pays extra money to work out naked in the gym.
Interesting. I mean, my first thought is, were they just paying extra to work out naked, or were they paying extra to have the gym themselves so they could start off working out naked and end up in a different type of workout that needed to be private?
Well, a couple folks have decided that in order to lose weight, that they're going to train naked in the Sao Paulo gym, and they like working out naked. So they train during reserved time at the gym to ensure privacy. And this unusual approach doesn't just benefit their physical health, it's also brought them closer as a couple. It's a form of intimacy and connection that goes beyond the ordinary when we spread our sweaty ass all over the gym equipment.
Yeah, I can just visualize me doing a stiff-legged deadlift, bent over at the waist, and having Terry. That's quite a. I don't know. I can't say that bird's eye view would be something that she would want. I don't know. We'd have to ask her.
Some things can't be unseen, and you don't.
That's right. You can't unring that bell. You know.
No.
Why do you want public gym equipment that close to, especially for the women, so close to your area? Like that's getting inside of you. You know, you got your, not to get graphic.
Whoa,
but like
what type of equipment are we talking about getting inside here, brother? We're not sitting on a bench to get inside. What are we doing with the equipment?
Well, if you sit on a bench naked, yeah, that's inside of you, brother. If you're a woman, that's you're throwing the lips.
How does a flat surface go? A flat surface go? I guess we got to ask the producer here, Christina. Is that a flat surface? Is that considered penetration?
There's full contact there.
That's full contact.
Is that? I agree with contact, but is that penetration?
I would not call that penetration, but that's me. I think it's a matter of listen, Marty's point is this. You don't want your business on a public thing. And
I know exactly what Marty's point is. I'm just having fun with terminology.
Oh, yeah. But no, that's
you were just looking for an excuse to say penetration this morning. Is that what it was?
So those of you turning into the morning show right now in the morning loop, the first 15 minutes of the show that's unpredictable. You never know. We're talking about good morning, Daniel Hall. Good to have you here this morning, man. Daniel's the man. Anybody who's out on the social web who's curious about what's real and what's fake, you got to go look at Daniel Hall's stuff, man. Daniel Hall is exposing all the fakery out there on social media, exposing all the fakers on LinkedIn. Daniel Hall is a must follow. More importantly, guys, the guy gets out of bed with 7 foster children. Like, you want to talk about love and kindness? Like, regardless of the fakery stuff, this dude is a superhero. Daniel Hall, all the love to you, my friend. Keep doing what you're doing every single day. That is remarkable work you are doing, my friend. We got a bunch of people joining us here in the show here. What's up, Enzo from the future? Love having you showing us as well. And you know what? I just have to address this once. I'm just going to say it once and once only. But McFlurry, free Puff Daddy? Fuck no. Lock Puff Daddy up. Leave him there. Good time, good time. Good morning, good time. And yes, there is good naked and bad naked guys all over the planet. And I'm stuck with Jon Andersen doing the deadlift naked in the gym. I don't know. I'm having some troubles unseeing that in my head. And yes, World of Enzo with that smirk, they're paying that money, of course. What else we got here coming up here? We got Bido Juice. No, I'm just going to address this one more time. P. Diddy's innocent. No, he's not. All right, enough P. Diddy, enough Puff Daddy on the show here today. We're just going to get that out of here. I see Marty kind of smirking. Marty, you want to offer a comment on the Puff Daddy stuff here? We always talk unpredictable stuff. Come on, Marty. I want to hear what you got to say, brother.
1,000 bottles of baby oil.
Hold on. What is 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
Oh, you didn't hear? So they arrested P. Diddy yesterday, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, whatever the hell you want to fucking call the guy.
Yesterday. So actually that investigation finally came to an arrest.
Yeah, so they arrested this loser. We'll just call him that. They arrested a loser and they found 1,000 bottles of lube and baby oil in his house, along with some AR-15s and a bunch of ridiculous stuff. Johnny, thoughts on the 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant that were found?
Well, I mean, from the shit that I hear that goes on in that house, it's, he'd want to make sure he wasn't running out,
I don't know how we couldn't drop it on the show here this morning, Nation.
But I don't got nothing to give you on the on the weapons. I'm not a gun guy. You know?
No, me neither. I understand why they're there, but me neither. But I just, that whole situation makes me laugh. But anyway, we're talking the morning loop, the first 50 minutes of the show, Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, Marty, producer Christina Flynn, and our friend Rich Ingram joining us here today. And we're actually talking about training naked in the gym. And I also wanted to throw something on the table to continue this conversation that comes simultaneously. There is a gym owner in Australia that has said, fuck all of you with your tripods. Marty, Christopher Martin, you also dropped some content on this as well in the gym. He's like, I am banning tripods in my gym because I'm tired of everybody tripping on tripods. I'm tired of these people that are getting filmed in people's content that don't want to be in films and so forth. Leave the tripods at home. Come get your workout done. Keep your clothes on and so forth. Christopher Martin, your thoughts on the tripods in the gym conversation. Marty.
Well, there's idiots on both sides of the tripod. So you got the people with the tripods, they doing burpee backflips in front of the dumbbell rack. And, you know, they're doing it in rush hour during the busy hours of the gym. So they're in people's way. So those are the idiots on that side. Then you got the idiots on the other side. Instead of just saying, hey, I'd like it if I wasn't in your video. You know, can you not film when I'm around, or can you wait till I move? F you, and smack the tripod or grab someone's shirt and wrestle them. So you got idiots on both sides. So it's just causing a lot of problems in gyms. So I don't blame them for that.
Is it?
And I got to jump on this real quick. I so agree, Marty. And here's the thing. Somehow in gym culture, it's all of a sudden the person with the tripod has the right of way. How in the hell did that come to play? The person with the tripod needs to be dancing for around the people that are working. But somehow, if you're filming something, all of a sudden now you got the right of way. Like, how in the hell? You know, it's like with boats. The big boat always has the right of way. Can you imagine if somehow that got switched around? The little boat had the right of way. We'd be dealing in a whole mess of boat accidents. Well, that's what's happening in the gym.
Flinner.
I think it's common sense. Like when you're at a playground, you don't film because there's people there and there's kids there that you don't film. I think when you're at the gym, let people do their shit. Make it known that like people don't want to be filmed. That should be your first step. Everything else, like you want to film near the wall, cool, do your thing. But like keep people out of your shit.
Yeah, Richie Rich. Oh, we got Rich muted. Yeah.
You know, my biggest thing is I think it also depends on the time of day. All right, when I go to the gym, I like to work. And so it's time consuming. I got to sit there and I have to wait because, you know, I mean, in between each set, they got to set this thing up. I mean, go at 4 o'clock in the morning, go at 9 o'clock at night. If you're going to do that, I don't care. And to Christina's point, I'm very cognizant. I have 3 small children. I'm very cognizant. Like when my kid's in jujitsu, if I'm filming, now I'll go ask the other parents, like, hey, do you mind if I take a picture of my son? And I try and be respectful of that. But in the gym, man, do your thing and get the fuck off the equipment so I can get in, you know?
Well, you know, on that level, brother, I so agree. But the people walking around these tripods, they don't have the nuts to get up at 4 a.m, you know?
That's true. That's true. Then get the fuck out. I don't know, man. Go buy kettlebell and do it at your garage, you know?
Well, hold up, Marty. Are you a tripod guy? Do you bring the tripod to the gym?
I'm a tripod guy, but it's not often. But I'm respectful with it, and you know, I'll edit people out. You know, I'm like, hey, do you mind if I record here? You know, I'm real respectful with it. I don't just go up and just start get out the way and just start recording. It's a lot of people like that. People real disrespectful with it.
Hey, you're hanging out with Keith Bilous, C. Marty Fit, Jon Andersen, Christina Flynn, and Rich Ingram here. Mornings in the Lab, the only morning show, guys, to get your ass out of bed, prevent you from hitting the snooze button. If you hit the snooze button, you're 9 minutes behind. Get up, get going, because right now, at this point in the show, we like to do this. All right, that's my cue to talk to you guys. And that's my cue to put up what we call the accountability check-in. And we're working on some new things here. There we go. I got to get that overlay there. All right, so listen. The question isn't if you have what it takes. No, it's not. It's how bad do you want it? Yeah. How bad do you want it? Everyone has potential. But here's the difference. You got the grit. You got the hunger. You got the accountability. Because some people question if they can get up after a fall. Because they've determined in their mind that they've already lost. They've given up before the breakthrough. But I know you, not you. You're committed because you do what it takes. I know you do. Because you know if you don't make it, it's because you didn't know in your journey. That's the reality. If you're a winner, you're going to keep going, no matter what. If you need to be inspired, you join this show every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Because this show is led by a bunch of winners, and we keep going no matter what. So I invite you to join in to Mornings in the Lab, the morning loop, every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and 8:15. We drop the accountability check-in with me, Keith Bilous. That's we got coming in today. All right, so we got Christina Flynn. We got C. Marty Fitz, Rich Ingram, and Jon Andersen coming back here in a second there. Johnny's working his way back to the stage. And we are going to get into a part of the show here we call it Center Stage. And it is a new segment we're working on here. And it is a part of the show where we feature guests, special topic of interest, special segment related to the pillars. And today, we're welcoming back our regular guest on Wednesdays, Rich Ingram. We found the guy just over there. Like, hey, Rich, why don't you come hang out with us? He's like, I'll come hang out with you guys. So Rich, he is the GOAT. Yeah. So Rich, I wanted to spend some time on Center Stage, Rich, because I'm pretty certain, my friend. I know we had you in a couple weeks ago. We've been talking about everything, but I really don't think Jon Andersen's accomplished some pretty crazy shit in his lifetime, and so is Marty Fitt. But I really don't think these two guys have sat down and really understood some of the shit that you've done with Leadville 100 and some of the shit that you're going to do with the Canyons race you got coming up here in a few months. So I really want to lean in for the next 12 minutes into the Leadville 100 and into the Canyons race coming up. Let's just talk about 100 kilometers, 100-mile races, ultra marathons, like what you put yourself through. I want you to dial into Marty and Jon so that by the end of the segment, they're like, holy fuck, man, you're like a machine. Let's go there, Richie Rich. So 100 miles, the Leadville 100. Let's dig into that, pal. Dig fully into the Leadville 100 for us, Richie.
Yeah, so the one tough thing about Leadville is altitude. I mean, a lot of guys will tell you, like professional athletes will tell you, it's not that difficult of a course. You know, it has maybe 17,000 feet of climbing, which sounds like a lot.
Feet.
I know. It sounds like a lot of climbing, but when you're talking about 100, it is not really that much. It's not that technical. There's a lot of Forest Service roads. But it starts at 10,000 feet of elevation. So
hold on.
I got a quick question.
Hold on, Johnny. I got to interrupt.
Okay, I'm ready too.
Anybody who's doing 100. So Richie Ingram, you can't come on this show and say that it's actually not a lot, dude. 100 fucking miles.
So I mean, 100 miles is 10,000.
Starting at 10,000 feet.
I know.
It's all relative, though, right? So you look at these guys that because a lot of people say like, oh man, it's 100 miles. I didn't start off running 100 miles. I mean, I started off running 3 miles. I started off doing walk runs. I mean, it's been a progression of getting there, right? And so when you look at the guys that are way better than me, I mean, they come out and like in European races and in a lot of other races, you might have 30,000 feet of climbing in 100 miles on technical trail. And so when you get to that level, it's a whole different ball game. But when you're climbing up, let's say, a Jeep trail and it's a long climb, well, that's a lot easier because you not have to necessarily focus on what your footing is, and stuff like that. So it just depends on the type of race. But in Leadville, there's only a couple of technical points of it. I know you're still laughing, but it's relative.
Just humble. Yeah, just humble.
I gotta just ask this question because I'm wondering. So I have to imagine the viewers are too.
Yes.
Is Leadville a place, or is Leadville just saying your legs are like lead in this race?
I think a little bit of both. It's an interesting story though. In Leadville, so the Leadville 100 is what really brought the town of Leadville, Colorado, which claims to be the highest populated city in America. It brought it out of poverty. And so the commissioner of Leadville at the time, I think it was in the 80s, he had this idea, hey, let's have a race. And I mean, over the decades, it has just blossomed. And I mean, you see now they have festivals on the weekends, and Lifetime corporation brought it out, just like Lifetime Fitness. And so now, I mean, during the summer months, they have a marathon in May, which goes up Mosquito Pass, which goes up over 13,000 feet. And then in June, they have Silver Rush 50, which goes through, abandoned mining towns. You see all these mine sites. It's just really gorgeous. But what you have to do in these races, I mean, for me, this year, I went out like 2.5 weeks earlier to acclimatize because, especially I just moved to Austin, Texas, which isn't high elevation either. I was living in New Orleans. You're talking about a negative sea level elevation, and so you just get hit with that the lack of oxygen that's up there. And so you can either go out there early. Some people, they'll go out there, let's say the race starts Saturday morning at 4 a.m. They get there on Friday night because elevation doesn't really affect you until you get within 3,000 feet. But if you're not staying up there long, it's not going to affect you as much. But if you go above 3,000 feet of what you're used to, and you stay there generally for more than 24 hours, that's when the effects start to take place. Because, when you start looking at the science of it, one benefit that I did have.
Oh, Rich, you muted yourself, pal. Rich, you muted yourself. Rich, you muted yourself here, buddy. So we got some comments coming in here from the side here. We got Shinku Gold who says, I can't run 10 miles here. What else we got here? We got coming in. Daniel Hall says, chaos always beats success depending on how we choose to wield it. Rich, you're muted there, pal. And what else we got here? We got, yes, Christina, I'm doing the do. Shanu Gold says 10 miles and I'm just. Papa Smurf says he's trying to be humble. What else we got here? We got, Shingo, lower oxygen means more fatigue. And Double A Michael says exactly. Richie, we got your vertical. It looks like your microphone's muted there, pal. I'm not sure how that happened during the conversation here. We're talking with Rich Ingram about the Leadville 100, where the dude goes and battles not only the altitude, but also everything along the way. You're hanging out with Keith, John, C. Marty Fit, Mornings in the Lab. So when you guys wrap your head around this idea of endurance, Marty, could you imagine running 100 miles, Marty?
No, man. I used to hate the preseason conditioning tests in college. That was 1 mile. I used to hate that.
Johnny, what about you, man?
I mean, the thing that I can't say that I'm big on endurance, but I will say that anytime I get in these scenarios, like some days I'm gonna I first discovered this when I was learning when I squatted to failure, and I realized that, and those sets were long. Those sets were sometimes a couple of minutes, and I would realize once I really, really got into it, as we talked about my one of my training philosophies, deep water. When I got in deep water. Is a whole new world opened up. And so obviously it's a short endurance, it's muscle endurance. But then the flip side is if I ever do something crazy, like get on Terry's stair mill or do something like that, there's a certain point where your world changes. Your brain has dumped enough positive chemistry. It's a place you want to stay. I mean, yes, is it difficult? Yes, is there some anxiety because you're pushing yourself? But it's once you get there, you kind of want to stay. Now, granted, I'd love to hear Rich's perspective on this.
Yeah, Rich is back with us here. And Rich, Papa says I would die just trying to do 20 miles. The humble Rich here who's doing 100 along the way here. But Rich, continue leaning into that conversation.
Man, yeah, I don't know where I got cut off, guys. I apologize. So for me, I'm just coming back into this. I don't know what you guys heard. I was talking about physiologically of plasma and red blood cells, which might just be too boring.
Basically, the body's ability to adapt to that altitude is where we got cut off.
Right. Yeah. And so in high heat and humidity, that's what happens to your body. It starts producing more plasma. So I did have that going for me. I mean, I would choose to do my runs at 3 o'clock, my long runs, 5-6 hours at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So my body would start to get used to, developing physiologically. And, another thing that you have to think about is what happens to your body as far as nutritionally, so when you get above and this is where, guys like John and Marty are like, God, at first glance, when you talk about eating potato chips and drinking Cokes and stuff like that, it sounds gross, right? But it's all the training I've done up to that. So I eat a healthy, I have a healthy diet of fats, proteins, etc. Because once you get past 90 to 120 minutes of running, your body starts to become more efficient. And so it starts burning fat for fuel instead of carbohydrates. And that's what you want. Well, that's at 90, 120 minutes, right? And so everything that I've done up to that point has, provided me that opportunity to be that efficient. Once you get past 5, 6 hours, 7 hours, whatever it is, dude, your body will burn anything.
It's in a survival setting. You could literally eat a dog turd and it would find nutrients out of that dog.
Yeah, about right. That one,
literally, it guaranteed it would. It sounds nasty as hell, but your body will find nutrient in anything you put down your mouth in a survival setting.
Hey, Marty. Marty, I've got a few clips of Jon Andersen talking about us humans eating dog shit. We're gonna have the whole highlights episode of Jon referring to humans just consuming it.
It's not a preferred method, by any means.
That's go-to, man. That's his favorite thing to say.
But it's true. So I mean, at the same time, you have to be careful. But it's good to switch it up during that point. But you once you get past marathon level, you're at a master's level of running, right? And so it's not just about your running specifically, but now you've introduced weight, strength training into your regimen. I'm very careful with how much I sleep. If I didn't get enough sleep one night, I'll make sure I take a nap. I mean, I will schedule a nap.
Yes.
Because that's where, and marathon training is the same. So and again, don't take this the wrong way, but unless you're a professional, marathon is that's for speed. Everything past marathon, once you get in the ultra world, it's less speed, more endurance. Right. So a lot of guys that are trying to do marathons, I mean, they want to qualify for Boston, which they actually just made tougher. I think you need to run in 3 hours or 2:55. So I mean, that's like a 650 minute mile.
Christ. Under 3 hours to get in that thing now.
Yeah. And a lot of people, you can do fundraising and most races have a lot of stuff like that to be able to get in. But once you get to the ultra world, it's about time on your feet. And that's what it is. And so, but once you start looking at the amount of hours and you're logging, let's say, because I'm going for weekly hours. So if I'm logging 15 hours in a week, well, it's not just that. Now we have to look at how are you strength training, because we want to make sure that the body's not imbalanced. Yes. Because at that point, that's how we get these overuse injuries, IT band syndrome. A lot of people might get plantar fasciitis and stuff like that. So we have to put in strength. We have to do cross training. So cycling is a good one. Now we our warm up, our recovery is that much more important. And so all these things come into play. So it's not just getting out there and running it. But I was fortunate enough for Leadville where I had, that's a master's level race where I was prepared for it. So I wasn't sidelined.
Oh, Rich went mute again. Hey,
can y'all hear me?
There you go. There we go.
I think we hit the button along the way, pal. Keep going. No, you muted it. So listen, here's what we're gonna do. You're here with Keith, Jon, C Marty Fit, and Rich Ingram here. Mornings in the lab. We're dropping into the center stage segment, but at this point in the show, we're gonna get over to the C Marty Fit.
We can hear you, but we can hear Rich.
Yeah, we're gonna bring him back here in a moment though, because we're gonna head into the fit tip and we're gonna come back, Richie, and we're gonna continue the conversation around the Leadville 100 on the second half of the show. But right now, we are going to do this.
All right, we got the fitness tip for today. Let's get into it. All right, understanding back fat and how to fix it. I would say that's an insecurity for men and women. As we age, we get older, 30s, 40s, 50s. So let's talk about it. Back fat, that sneaky, stubborn area that can creep up over time, is often a sign of weak muscles. One thing that affects it is poor posture, and this can lead to a lot of discomfort, pain, and like I said, a little bit of insecurity. All right. So where does this come from? Aging, like I just mentioned, metabolism slows down, fat storage increases over time, sedentary lifestyle, too much sitting, work, watching football, whatever it is. We sit down a lot. That's going to weaken your back muscles, your posture, a lot of slouching, a lot of sitting adds to that as well. That's going to encourage fat to accumulate as well. Genetics and hormones, these play a big role in where you store fat. Some of us got the back fat genetics, some of us don't, but that can be one of the causes, right? So What exercises can we do to fix this? We got the row machine. I had my clients on that this morning before the show. Full body cardio engages your back muscles on every rep. All right, perfect for fat burning, great for toning. Dumbbell rows. Me and Johnny talk about this all the time. All right, great for hitting the upper back, hitting those lats. You don't need fancy equipment. Grab a dumbbell or a barbell, get to work. All right. These are all simple but effective. Okay. You can lift your arms and legs simultaneously when you do Supermans. That's another good one. Okay. This is going to strengthen your lower core and back. Don't get mad at the back fat. Don't make excuses for it. There's a way to get rid of it, but just understand what causes it, what you can do to prevent it. And that's the fitness tip for today.
Mad at the back fat, according to C Marty Fit, for the fit tip today. It's a thing, isn't it, Marty? It's a thing.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a thing, man. It's probably the biggest insecurity for the women clients. The men don't care as much, but it's big for the women. Yeah,
no kidding, eh? So would you say when folks are coming in, and Johnny, and I know that much of your clientele, Johnny, are for the most part men, but when folks are coming to you, John and Marty, is that a common? It's a common thing, eh? Like the back fat, the big back. We always joke about, Marty, but it's a thing, eh? Just that the cumulative back fat.
You know, I think obviously we can go. I mean, there's the back fat, there's the titties, there's the belly. The list goes on, man. It ain't just the back fat, you know.
Oh yeah, no, it's more than that. But I think for the fellas, it's more the titties and the belly. The women,
titties,
the back fat.
The titties it's hard to get past the titties, man.
Yeah, when the boys are coming in asking for the bra, right? They're like, Johnny, I got to get rid of my tits because I either got to go buy a bra or I got to get rid of my tits. It's probably the conversation.
I've been there. You at 15 years old, if you covered up my face and you covered me at the genitals, you couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl. So I've been there. I lived that life.
All right. So hey, listen, we're gonna get to the part of the show here we call the deep dive. It is where we get into a big topic that moves the needle. And today, with our friend Rich Ingram, one of our new hosts here on the show, who's joining us every Wednesday, we want to get into the endurance mindset. We want to get into this idea of mental strength is what ultimately helps you achieve your goals. Yeah, you know, Johnny's got big muscles, Marty's got big muscles. I got the biggest muscles out of all of us. There's no doubt about that. But the reality is, it's the mind that moves the mountain. And boys, 80% of success is mental, according to top athletes. Now, Rich, Carol Dweck, she's done some research that shows that people with growth mindset, those who believe they can develop their abilities, are more likely to succeed and overcome challenges. Rich, I'm going to throw this to you first, pal. As someone who has faced huge personal obstacles, no shit, how do you stay in a growth mindset when things get tough? How do you ensure setbacks don't become permanent barriers? Rich Ingram.
Yeah. So again, I've said this before. It was a little bit easier for me because after I lost my arm, I was put in a corner. I only had one way to go. Well, I guess I had two ways. I could either become homeless and ask for your money on the street corner, or I had to move forward. And so for me, everything just became another part of the day. And so that has been ingrained in me. It doesn't matter what happens. You know, I'm right now I'm dealing with an event planner that keeps changing things on me, and I don't know how many times I've changed my flight and all this stuff. And I told her last night when she texted, I was like, look, change is inevitable and it's just part of the process. It's like that's out of my control, you know, and it's just another problem that I have to solve. And I love Carol Dweck's book, coincidentally called Mindset. And so, you know, she says there's either fixed or growth, right? And so in a fixed mindset, you don't think that you believe that all of your talent is etched in stone. And in that growth mindset, it doesn't matter. You know that it's all about showing up and repetition. And no matter whether you fail or not, every failure is a learning opportunity to get better. And so for me, every time something gets hard, I look at it as, man, I'm going to grow here. When I'm running and it hurts so bad that I want to fall over and pass out and quit and stop, I just want to say, hey, man, I only got 5 more minutes to get better at this. And so that's how I look at it. Is everything that happens to me is in a challenging, daunting situation is transforming me, and so that's how I keep going.
Love that.
Powerful, brother. Powerful.
Yeah. How do you? How do you get someone to, let's say, someone's stagnant or complacent, or they're doubting themselves? How do you get them to develop the growth mindset? What do you say to that person?
So now we're going to start off by defining our purpose and what our purpose is. And so because we've said it before on the show that motivation, or let's call it willpower, is a horseshit word that gets depleted because it's one of our executive functions in our brain that gets depleted. So when we start by finding purpose, why are we doing this? And so when you look at the end state, psychologists, sports psychologists said this, athletes at the highest level, Marty, John, you guys know, like, you want to picture yourself as like, what does this look like? Who do I want to be? And if you can focus on that and figure out your purpose and why you're doing it, that is the true motivation. That's what's going to help you wake up in the morning and keep showing up. Now, regardless whether you get 5 minutes in or you get the planned hour in, just fucking make it and then show up the next day ready to go again. That's what it is.
Yeah. Hey, Johnny, got a question for you, pal.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a moment in your career? I know you're very diligent on habits and a very structured mindset. Have you had a moment in your career, Johnny, where a fixed mindset held you back? And if it did, how did you learn to shift that mindset to overcome that challenge? Because I got to think, Johnny, sometimes when we get so structured, we might put ourselves too tightly in a box. Have you experienced that, John?
100%. You can basically, you can get so structured and you can live inside that loop so tightly that it can become almost like a hindrance, like you've kind of created your own prison walls, so to speak. So what I'm big on when it comes to this is, I guess for me, it's easy to keep this at bay because I always moving around, when I'm going to, I'm just in different places. And so when I go to a different place, I still have my morning loop, but it's in a different environment, which changes it up. So if I wasn't a person that moved around a lot, I would have to be very careful of choosing to kind of break the rhythm. And I would say break, I should just say alter the rhythm. Because, when it comes down to it, you need your rhythm and your routine to evolve because you want to get better, So it's not just doing the same thing forever. You might have a rhythm, but each thing inside that rhythm is getting more challenging. That's what keeps you growing.
Yeah. Hey, we're talking mindset shifts that drive resilience here with Keith, John, Marty, and Rich Ingram here, Mornings in the Lab. I invite you to subscribe to the channel. I see you guys subscribe, and thank you very much for that. Subscribe, comment, like, and I see all your comments on the side as well. Double A Michael, thanks for your comments. Shinku Gold, thanks for your comments as well. I love all the things coming in here. And it's true, your mind is a tool that follows your bliss. That's what's got to get you going. Marty, question for you, brother. So I know that you've had your journey. You've had your journey through life, through athletics, through school, and so forth. But mental toughness isn't something you're born. It's trained, just like any muscle. How do you personally, Marty, train your mental toughness daily? You have rituals or habits that help you stay mentally sharp. What do you do, Marty?
Self-talk is big. That's one. How do you talk to yourself when things are good and when things are bad? So communicating with yourself, and like I always say, I think we talked about it yesterday and Monday, you're going to have obstacles. You're going to have things happen.
Yes.
What are you doing? What are you doing those, right? How do you overcome it? And just having a positive mindset there, being super positive and taking the steps to change it, right? Those are probably the two biggest things. I'm big on, looking at the past. What did you do in the past to get through that? So those are big to me for mental toughness.
Yeah. What about you, Rich?
And so what do I do to train my mind for mental toughness?
Yeah, like constant.
It's repetition. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, it's
they're in your own head doing your thing. You alluded to this a few minutes ago. You're like, okay, I got 5 minutes to go. Is that by you doing this repetitively on a daily basis, is that what you do to train your mind, Rich?
100%, because it becomes ingrained. It's just like John, talking about habits. It becomes a habit. Your thought process becomes a habit. So when, it's like a trigger, this X happens, I'm acting or reacting in this manner because I've done it repetitively, and that's that's what we really want to achieve, is that repetitive action to create that habit. So there's no what do I do here? It just happens.
Yes.
And Jon, I got a boiled down simple answer for this, and I know the guys will agree with me. Do difficult shit.
Yes.
When you do difficult shit and you continue to realize, okay, I'm going to continue to challenge myself and do difficult shit, that's keeping your brain sharp. You're constantly adapting. You're constantly moving forward. And just like Rich said, it becomes a habit to do difficult shit. And when I say difficult shit, that's what people relate to. But really what it comes down to, it's difficulty is just all you're doing is addressing an obstacle. So don't look at it as, oh, this is hard. Oh, this is a challenge. Go get it.
And I think, Jon, you'll relate to this too, right? Where Shinku Gold comes and says each new plateau feels normal. And to I spend time in the gym. So we all spend time in the gym. Isn't that true, right? Because once you hit that target you're looking to hit, you're like, okay, that's normal. Now I got to do it again, right? And it's funny how that works with our brain, right? I see you kind of smirking there, Richie.
No, yeah, you're exactly right. So, and I would even go a step further to not necessarily do hard things, because I like doing hard things. Yeah. I would go a step further to say do uncomfortable things.
Yes.
Right. And so what that means is, oh, hey, I'm going to search for the parking spot that's close to the door. No, go park at the back of the parking lot. Oh God, man, there's a mess right here. I'll do that later. Just train yourself to do these things just for a couple minutes. Just do what you don't want to do right now for a couple minutes. And that's a good starting point for that.
Yeah.
Speaking of uncomfortable, I know that my friend Christopher Martin here on the show has a box just out to his right on the floor. And I know that it was something that he was walking over and stepping over, wondering if he was going to build it. And I'm wondering, Marty, if that box has been built because you were like, I got to get to this. He's shaking his head.
I can't. The daggone concrete behind the wall. I literally can't. So.
Oh, no. We don't use that word on this show. Are you out of your mind? Come on, man. I'm going to use your own words. Come on, man. We don't use can't. It's a challenge. It's difficult, yes, but you'll find a way.
Look, that's when I hire somebody to get the concrete behind the wall, do something, that's cool. I'm not doing that. That's not my expertise.
But it's funny because when Rich is talking about putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations, they go, yeah, Marty's staring at a box that's going to put himself in an uncomfortable conversation.
It ain't there no more. That thing is in the corner. That thing is put away for the time being.
Hey, you're talking building resilience through an endurance mindset shifts that drive resilience with Keith, Jon, C. Marty Fit, and Rich Ingram on Mornings in the Lab. We drop the show 8 o'clock Eastern time every single day, the only show to get you guys going. And at this time in the show, what we like to do, we like to invite some guy on the stage. Got some big traps, got a nice hat on his head, some great glasses, scratching the old beard there.
I'd like to meet this guy. Who is he?
Yeah, so we're gonna at this point, I'm just gonna do this. Ooh, there's his sound effect. Marty's gonna go Marty's gonna go for a stretch. Richie, you go figure something out, man. We'll bring you back in a moment. Johnny's got some stuff to do.
All right, the lifestyle tip. We know we want these things to be simple and actionable to help you get more out of your day. So here's the deal. If you're looking to create more productivity in your day, here is a simple, very straightforward methodology that will help a ton. Now, most people, they're going to have less productive time in the evening. Let's just say between, 9 and 11, that's when they're not doing stuff that would be moving the needle forward, so to speak. So here's what you do. Let's say you get up at 7 and you go to bed at 11 or 10, whatever that timeline is. Your bedtime, you just shift back 1 hour, and you shift your wake up time back 1 hour. So you're getting up 1 hour early, because rarely is someone going to get up and not be productive. But in terms of being, those waking hours, an hour or two before you go to bed, those are the hours that most people waste. So you want an extra hour? Just slide that schedule back, wake up 1 hour earlier, and you still have your time in the evening if you want to waste a little, but now you've captured 1 hour in the morning, for highly productive time so you can do what you want. Maybe it's a side hustle, maybe it's personal improvement. Whatever you choose to do with that hour is yours. But if you want an extra hour for productivity in your day, this tip is for you. Rock and roll.
Awesome tip. I love that tip. It's just these simple things, Johnny, that we just overlook, right? Sometimes we just all mindlessly go through the day.
Simplicity, baby. Simplicity. It's the shit that you don't see that sometimes is the most helpful.
It's simplicity that goes, it's funny when we look at an hour, eh, John, you look at those 60 minutes through your clock and you're like, okay, I got to get this meeting done. And then we dick around, we walk over there and 5 minutes is gone. And we walk over there, 5 minutes is gone. If you took those 5 minutes, you got 10 minutes, you could do a stretch. Right.
I'm telling you. And the thing about it is, if we give just a little bit of forecasting or pre-planning to our day, we can take all these little bits of wasted time and capture them, put them in a block, and really do some special shit with these extra blocks of our lives that we're capturing because we don't know that we're just pissing them away.
Why do humans struggle with sleep, Johnny? Like I
believe point blank, especially in today's world, because someone goes to bed, and I deal with it all the time with my clients, and I actually have a mental exercise that I give them to go through. It works like a charm. But basically, people go to bed, and what's the most common thing? Their brain doesn't stop working. I can't stop my brain. Well, it's because they're thinking about shit it's anxiety. It's whatever it is, it's stress. Well, guess what? That brain is releasing cortisol. Cortisol is not going to let you go to sleep. So that's where you got to say, okay, bam, I can't stop thinking. And what am I thinking about? It's probably shit that you don't want to be thinking about. So flip the switch. They go, well, you know what? I'm going to think about something that makes me happy.
Yes.
In my funny enough, in my early development of this, I would actually think about a great sexual experience because it would make me happy. It would give me these fun thoughts. All of a sudden, boom, my brain's not releasing cortisol. You're not releasing cortisol when you're recanting on a sexual experience. You're releasing serotonin and all the good shit that you want, which will relax you and put you to sleep.
Hold on, that's actually pretty freaking brilliant advice there. So Marty, my ears perked up here. So what you're saying is that I know you like to simplify things. I'm taking a page out of Jon Andersen's book. You're going to bed, you can't sleep. You're thinking, okay, I had some great sex with a partner a while back. You think about that, you relax your brain, you go to sleep. Is that literally what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I started. Now, because now that I'm more I've developed this a lot. This was back when I was in my early 20s. Now it's like, okay, I'm going to lay down, and if I'm not disengaged or I have that subtle anxiety, I'm going to think about my kids. I'm going to think about my wife. I'm going to think about the freedom that I've created in my life. I'm going to think about all the shit in my life that I'm so lucky to have. And I'm so grateful to have. And all of a sudden, the brain doesn't have a choice. It can't release a stress hormone any longer. It starts releasing the good hormones, which makes me happy and relaxes me and puts me to sleep.
So true story here. We're here in the protein break, part of the show here. We just kind of dive into a topic here, and we would have rolled back to the endurance conversation, but Rich, I think, is having a little bit of technical difficulties here, so we're going to lean into this right now. But I'll say this: that we had Lynn Anderson on the show a few months back here on Live in the Lab, and we talked about men needing to have a climax for post nut clarity. And I'm just going to throw something on the table here. There's times, Johnny, when I'm going to bed at night where my brain's all messed up, or I'm just all got anxiety, or I'm all over the place.
Empty the clip, baby. Empty the clip.
I'm telling you, man. I'll master the domain, and
because when you do that, your brain releases very similar chemicals than when you put it in a state of gratitude. 100%.
Yes. So it's true. If there's times where I'm like I can't make a decision, or I'm just kind of restless, I'll master the domain. I'm like, okay. And I'll go to sleep.
I mean, brother, I've used that method, and just so for everybody knows, listen, everybody on the planet, well, I shouldn't say everybody, but damn near everybody on the planet masturbates, jerks off, whatever you want to call it. So if you're denying this, grow up. We all do it,
Yeah. Yes.
And it's very helpful. There's times in the middle of the day when I'm like, holy shit, I lost control, man. My anxiety's coming 5 different ways, and I'm not seeing. I'm mixed up.
Yes.
So I'll go empty the clip. My mind clears. Bam, I'm back in action, man.
You know what, Johnny? Let's talk about this, pal, because
empty the clip, for those that don't know, that means jerk off.
There are a lot of 40, 50-year-old men on there listening to the show right now that are like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. No, we're talking about it. Because gentlemen, throughout your day, if you're
natural, it's a part of life.
And if you're bunged up and you're like, oh, I need to go figure something out, I can't make a decision, or my work is stressing me out, or there's always, go and empty the clip. And do not sit on this. Do not deny that you're doing that. And if you're looking for a tip, do that, because
it's good for the prostate too.
Yeah, it's great for the and you know what? Maybe it'll be good for American politics too, guys. Maybe if guys were unloading the clip around the United States, maybe American politics would get a little bit softer. I don't know. Maybe that would help.
That's because Diddy bought all the baby oil, so they can't do it.
Oh shit! Well, you know, it's also good too. I would recommend highly, if you're going to do this, don't go the porn route. You know, use your brain. Yes. Use your creative energy. Use your imagination. Think about an experience that you had, because the whole idea is to get your brain moving to the other side of the fence. You know, and putting on some nasty porn is definitely, I mean, granted, it's going to help you get the job done, but it's kind of working against the idea of sparking the creativity and you know, having the imagination start to go. Our imagination is powerful. Yes. And when we start using our imagination, and then it's connected with something like, you know, emptying the clip, there's a lot of positive shit going on here.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said, Johnny, leave the porn alone, because, you know, let's be frank. You know, we are trying to embrace positive conversation. We're trying to embrace and talk about positive habits on this show. And yeah, the porn is not going to get you in the right direction. Listen, we know it's there. I'm not sitting there saying, don't watch porn. I'm not going to be that person. I just want to offer you things to think about, that, you know, maybe we want to put the porn aside and use what's going on in your head instead. Johnny Andersen.
We all got porn in our head. Use your own mental Rolodex. Not to mention, too, if you got to get this done quick, you ain't got time to sit down and figure out what you're going to watch. Find yourself a quiet place, get the mental Rolodex going, start pumping it a sweat, and get the job done.
Or, Johnny, I have an idea for you.
I'm going to give a different take on it.
Yes.
All right. Listen. This is my thing. Do what you do what works for you, because imagination might not work for some people. All right, I may or may not be talking about myself. I'm not going to talk about myself on the show.
I like it. He's opening up a little bit.
What I will say is, it shouldn't be a distraction to the point where you ain't getting shit done.
Yeah.
If you can turn it on quick and get shit done, then do what you got to do. But you know, there can be a lot of negative effects, though. I'm with y'all on that.
Yes, yeah. So I have an idea. How about, Johnny? Because I think you're on this with me here. How about you find yourself a wonderful companion, partner who you love, who you're into mentally, emotionally, sexually, and then all those things happening there create that porn in your mind, so that you can leave all this shit aside, and then you can just go and when you need to go and express yourself, you can express yourself with your partner, but just in your own mind. My point is, go find yourself an incredible partner who you love, and that becomes your pornography in your brain. Johnny, you know what I'm saying?
100%. You know, and kudos to my relationship with my wife.
Yes.
You know, when my relationship got really, really good, when I really started to understand about committing to my relationships like I do my athletics, like I do everything else, then basically I will pick my own memories of my wife's and I experience over porn.
Yes, I agree. And Good Times coming in with saying, just don't do it on a boat with fish involved. Yes, we got Rich Ingram back here. We were going to talk how to be an endurance athlete, but instead, Rich, we decided to talk about masturbation and emptying the clip. Any comments on any comments, Rich? Because the thought process was, sometimes we get distracted, sometimes we just can't get shit done. And in my experience, because John and I are the old guys on the show here, in our experience, sometimes to get shit done, you just have to empty the clip. Any thoughts on that progress, and any thoughts on that thought process, Rich Ingram?
Yes. So in 2007, I was in a bike shop. One of my best friends, he used to be a professional athlete. He owned the bike shop, and I can't remember what the situation was, but I brought this to him, and I was like, "Hey man, what do you think about this?" And he was like, "Rich, before every big decision, you just got to fucking pound one out."
There we go, baby. There we go. Clarify that we see things real clear.
And I will remember that to this day, man. So yeah, I am, dude. I look, we're human. We're like, that's a natural part of everything. Yes. And if it's just like clogging up your thought process, man, just go fucking hammer one out. Don't make a bad decision because of that.
Get it out.
And then, restart.
It's true. It's funny though. Marty and I laugh because we put Richie on stage, and Marty, he's got the date in mind. He's got the conversation in mind.
Yeah.
He's ready to go with the response. He's like, oh yeah, I know what this one's all about for sure.
I wasn't expecting the date, and I'm gonna add this too. Like y'all are married, so you go to bed next to someone at night. People like myself that's single, if you don't pound one out, you might make a bad decision. You might call the crazy chick. You might call the chick. You know what I'm saying? You got to be careful. You might have a chick boyfriend come up here and follow her or something. You know, she could have lied or something. You got to be careful.
That's a good one right there, because check this out. Because, for those of you that have different schedules than your wife, like I go to bed early, Tara goes to bed late. Yeah. I wake up early, she wakes up late. So I can't even remember the last time we had sex when we went to bed, because we never go to bed at the same time. Yeah. So what we do is we basically schedule a chunk of time when I'm awake, and that's basically every day at a certain point. It's in my book. It's Terry time. Yes. So the question: what are we going to do? Are we going to go ride our dirt bikes? Are we going to go out to the lake? Or are we just going to basically get down?
Or is Terry going to ride? Or is Terry going to ride John? It's just something along those lines, right? That's just what typically.
You don't wake her up in the morning before mornings in the lab.
She wants nothing to do with get woke up, and just to go a little further. So, basically yesterday was some Terry time, like we're discussing. She's tired. She wants to sleep, man.
You are hanging out with Keith, John, C. Marty.
I want to see Tina's face right now.
And Rich Ingram. Mornings in the lab. Oh, man. This morning show here, we start every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time. I invite you guys to subscribe to the channel, like the channel, comment on the channel. Double A Michael's coming with some great comments here with come to self, synchronatic meaning accordingly, and make live to yourself. Basically, it's exactly it, Michael. Make love to yourself. And good time comes in with the comment as we work up to wrap up this discussion, which is always rub one out pregame. So whatever you're moving into, rub it out, because if you don't, there's a good chance you are going to make a bad decision as you move into. And I can see Marty leaning into this one. Marty, rub it out before you go to pregame, hey brother?
You got to, man.
You got to. All right. So listen, it is coming up to the top of the hour. We have a segment coming up called In the Gym with John and Marty. And today we are going to get into something John does every single day.
There's a lot of things I do every day. What are we talking about?
Where are we going here?
I mean, shit, if we're talking about the last topic, are we bringing the emptying the clip into the gym? That's an everyday occurrence too.
Double A Michael says, don't walk around with a loaded gun. Yeah, that's true. Again, if a bunch of folks in America would start emptying their gun a little more often, maybe America would be a little more happier, I'm wondering out loud here. So, but listen, let's get to the gym segment, In the Gym with Marty and John. And today you guys are going to talk about stretching, static, dynamic stretching, flexibility, and so forth. So Rich, you're new to this. You and I get to go backstage, hang out, and watch these two yahoos get on here and educate Business Athlete Nation about being in the gym. And Richie, there's not a show on the planet where you're going to get a chance to sit down with an IFBB pro, one of the world's strongest men, a guy who wrestled in Korea, world wrestling dude.
North Korea, by the way.
North Korea. You got a guy who played D1 athletics, trains some of the most exceptional human beings on the planet. So we're going to step aside. We're going to put Marty Fit, Jon Andersen on stage, and they're going to educate Business Athlete Nation about what goes on in the gym with Christopher Martin and C. Marty Fit. Let's do it.
All right, this is a doozy, brother. So let's right out of the gate. Let's try to define where the biggest holdup with stretching is. And I think, and you tell me if you see the same thing, is it's just like the workout. It's like, are people showing up to get their stretching done? And getting it done, I think, is the biggest hindrance in the whole equation. What do you think?
Yeah, getting it done and not understanding why. And I think when people finally get hurt, they understand why. Sometimes you need that kick in the ass to figure out that, hey, I need to stretch. A lot of people look at it as a waste of time. I even had a client, sorry, I tried to get her to stretch and she was like, oh, that's for your fat clients. I'm like, it's not for the fat clients. It's for everybody. So a lot of people don't understand the importance And they don't even understand the simple concept of, so we static stretching versus dynamic stretching. So usually if you're dynamic stretching, you're going to do that as a warm up, get your blood flowing, get your blood circulating, get your muscles warm. So now we can lift heavy. We can do some high intensity movements. You do your static stretching at the end, right? That you're going to sit down. You're going to sit down in your work chair, sit down on the toilet, sit down with the kids, right? You're going to sit down in the car. Muscles are going to tighten up and they're going to cool down. And that's where a lot of people, that's where the injuries start pretty much.
Yeah. So I agree with everything you said. So here's the thing. Obviously, dynamic stretch to warm up, that's great. That's for sure something that can be done depending on what, the goal of the person. But when the muscle, obviously having some sort of regular stretch to make sure that you don't get tight is really probably when it comes down to what we're talking about here. And I am a perfect example. I'm challenged with finding a small chunk of the day to do the stretch. And it's like, son of a bitch, if I don't have it stack it, which we're going to talk about right now, I freaking miss it all the time. And it's not like I'm just, it's one of those things that just keeps getting put back. So there's something that seems to be more important. So here's what is it. This is a massive tip. It's what I do. It's what I have my clients do. And it's actually, it does. A lot of times people say stretching hurts. Yes. If you're doing it in a certain regard, it will. Not going to hurt. And you're going to get it done really quickly because this is why. You're going to get yourself obviously warmed up and whatever you need to do to get your workout done. When your workout is done, let's just say you trained your chest, right? That muscle's fatigued. That muscle is warm. It's broken down. It will stretch so easily with no pain. So all you're going to do to maintain your stretching, and you're going to, every time you train a muscle, it doesn't matter what it is, you're going to spend literally, I say 2, because that's a very simple, small goal, to 5 minutes, somewhere in there. The odds are you're going to get to 2 minutes. You go, shit, I'll do a little more. But you don't need to do more than 5. And if you do it every day that you train and you don't miss because you habit stacked it to the back of your workout, this is a highly, highly effective methodology because you don't miss it. It's habit stacked with your training and the pain is gone and you get a whole lot of bang for the buck when the muscle's already warm and broken down. You can stretch it out real easy. So what do you think about that one, Marty?
No, that's a good one, especially if it's not a habit of yours. I think that's great. Obviously it would be better to stretch everything, but if you're trying to build that habit or you're short on time, I would say do that. But now that I've prioritized stretching, I've made it to the point where I'm making my workouts more efficient so I can cut out time to stretch. Right. So all the fluff, don't be scrolling on your phone. Don't be in there talking too much. I try to set out a gap of time so I can stretch. And now it's a habit. Now my body's feeling better. I'm not getting injured. I can move how I want to. I can do my athletic movements. So, what Johnny just gave you is a great start, but, try to build on that, obviously. But that's a great start for beginners.
Yeah. And here's the thing, if you're thinking, man, I'm tight, I need to stretch, that little habit stack of 2 to 5 minutes is going to bring you far enough down the line where you're not going to have, tightness that's uncomfortable. You're not going to have pain because the muscles are tightening up so much after a workout. Once you get to that and you've got that maintained and you want to take it to the next level, then you take the next step. You go deeper into it. But if you don't have this, if you don't have people think, oh, I'm going to stretch. I'm going to start committing this time to stretching every day. And they haven't stretched. They sit on the floor. And they're like, holy shit, this hurts. Nobody wants to do that again tomorrow, Yeah. So start off in a way where it's painless, so to speak. It's easy. Establish the fact that, man, I'm really getting the benefits here. Then when you want to do more, you change the equation on stretching. So
yeah,
go ahead, Marty.
I was going to say, I even recommend, if you have to, hire someone to help you stretch, hire someone to help you understand what areas you're struggling with, what issues, you got tight IT bands, your hamstrings are weak. Have someone help you. A lot of people don't, they don't stretch their calves at all. Right. Yep. Calves is a big area, yep. Right? That's right by our Achilles. A lot of, you don't want to rupture an Achilles or something like that. So it's important to stretch, but it's important to also understand your body, what your body needs and know what's going on. And I was going to ask you a question, John.
Well, let me just before I forget, I got something that I want to share. Now, my first tip was attached to training. This one is attached to everyday life. So I'm gonna give you an example. Every morning when I do this show, I'm stretching my hips because if you could see the way I'm sitting, you could see I'm sitting in a way where, like, when I first sit down in this position, that's a little tight, that's a little tender. But I'm sitting here on and off because I get up to take a leak when we take breaks, and I get a little break from stretching. But 90 minutes a day, Monday through Friday, I get a hip stretch. And because I basically, I'm doing it at the same time. It's not, I guess you could call it a habit stack. It's not a habit stack. You're just doing, you're multitasking. Because in many cases, stretching can be something that's a little boring. Like, to me, stretching is boring as a mother. So I'm going to find any little nook and cranny in my life, like every morning, boom, this is a hip stretch. Other times in my life, I might find some other, if there's another, maybe like on the weekend, I'm not doing this. So when I'm sitting at my desk, I'll basically do the same thing. So look for places in your life that you can actually stretch as you're multitasking. Perfect example, you're driving in traffic. Take your arm and put it behind the headrest on the other side.
I do that all the time. Yeah,
100%. So just all you got to do is be aware and intentional of stretching within your current activities, and this whole thing starts to take care of itself.
Definitely. Good Time says, I went to a stretch therapy guy. He is awesome. And yeah, man, don't hesitate. Go to stretch therapy. They'll probably do some massaging too. A lot of us have a lot of knots in our muscles, so that'll be important. So I'm going to throw this on the table, Johnny. So let's say, I can feel my lower back is tight. That's a sign you need to stretch. You can feel it in your chest. You can feel shoulders, even at quads. So those you got to give those attention, right? Yeah, rest is important, right? But you gotta stretch. So what are some other signs, Johnny, that people might not realize that it's a sign they need to start stretching and start warming up?
Yeah, well, goodness. First off, some sort of stiffness or pain. You were way too far down the river. That's like the first time you notice that, you realize you've got something that needs to be addressed. You shouldn't let that go. So I would say stiffness that creates pain, that's an alarm. Your body's saying, hey, dipshit, you've let this go too long. It's not just hard to put your shoes on anymore. Now it hurts to put your shoes on. And so start look through your life and identify, as most people don't know because they're doing this shit and they're not thinking about it. If there are little parts of your life, the normal parts of your life, like I'm gonna get real graphic. When I'm basically taking a dump, I'm gonna basically go for both sides. I'm gonna clean myself up from both sides, because if I'm only doing on one side, my thoracic twist is great when I'm leaning to the left, but I lean to the right, I'm stuck. So look for the little things in your life that you can do to keep yourself stretched and balanced, per se, because to a certain extent, when you're tight, you're creating a major imbalance, and your body does not like imbalance. It's going back to the when we were designed to survive. And if you're too stiff and you can't run, Marty and I were looking for food to bring back to the village, and we got to run from a saber-toothed tiger. If I got tight hamstrings, guess who that saber-toothed tiger's coming to get first?
Oh, yeah.
He can see me running stiff. He's like, oh, that son of a bitch didn't do a stretching. I'm going to eat him.
No, definitely. And I'm going to throw this on the table as well. Age, just because you used to be able to just walk in the gym and bang out 225 with no warm up does not mean you should do it 10 years later. That's a bad idea. So just, as we age, our muscles get tighter, we accumulate more fat. So it's more important. Stretch and recovery become way more important. So you got to be on top of that. The older you get, the more you got to warm up, and the more you got to do your post-workout recovery stretch, whatever it is. You got to be on top of that even more. And even nutrition, I to an extent, helps with your muscle tightness. And like hydration is big. Hydration is big, so stay on top of that water intake.
So when you if you guys don't know, this might help. So lactic acid, let's say you train your legs and they're burning, the body's releasing lots of lactic acid. Well, think of lactic acid as like little pieces of broken glass that get lodged in the muscle, right? So then when you cool off and the next day you go to walk, you're like, oh my God, I can feel my legs. You're feeling those little pieces of broken glass dig around your muscle tissue. So when you get a little blood flow and do a little stretching, what you're doing is you're allowing those little pieces of broken glass to kind of shake loose, get out in the bloodstream. Then the body has a mechanism that will dissolve those pieces of broken glass or that lactic acid in the bloodstream. I'm really boiling this down to make it simple, but the bottom line is if you're sore from a training session, you need to give that muscle some attention with a little blood flow and a little stretch, especially before you put it under load.
And here's another hack too. Since we talked about hacks the other day, we didn't talk about this hack, but foam roll. Get a foam roller, roll everything out, roll out your calves. Even sometimes I even roll out my shins, roll out your hamstrings, quads, and two that people don't really roll out, the IT bands and those glute muscles as well. Those are a game changer. Those are going to make a difference in how you feel. And it's going to help you, when it comes to feeling sore.
And bro, that's such a good point right there. That is such a good point. Because here's the thing. Your posterior chain, what that means is the muscles that go from your back of the neck all the way to your heel. All these muscles are interlinked. And basically that butt muscle, that glute is so big and so strong. If that thing's tight, what it's doing is it's pulling on the lower back, and it's because it's pulling on the hamstring. So if that glute is tight, that you guarantee you're going to have a tight lower back and a tight hamstring. So what Marty's saying about the foam roller, start off sitting on that thing because, like rolling out on an IT band or a hamstring, that's painful shit. Something weird about the glute, man. You sit on that roll and move around the glute, it actually feels good. And if you get that one going first, it's going to make the other ones easier and less painful.
Absolutely. Good time says, what about a chiropractor? Now listen, if we have any chiropractors watching, I love you all. I have nothing against you all. But I would say before you go to a chiropractor, try to address some of those things on your own. Go to a stretch therapist first. I think that a chiropractor, this is just my opinion. A chiropractor can come here and debunk me. I think a chiropractor is more of a temporary solution, and it's not going to be a long-term, it's not going to be help the issue long-term for you. That's just my opinion. And from what I've seen.
And we also had a comment about cupping too. I missed who it was, but cupping, what's your take on that, Marty?
I haven't done cupping before. What I do works for me, so I kind of just stuck with that. I've done cryotherapy, so I can't really say much about cupping. Yeah,
I've never had it done either. Some people they believe in it, but usually from what I've seen is the people that really lean into massage are also leaning into cupping. I've never been a massage guy. That's something I've never really taken. It's part of recovery, but it's like there's a certain you've got these lists of responsibilities you got to do on a regular basis, and if you have too many of those responsibilities, it's going to break down the system. Well, massage was one of those things I decided to leave out of my equation because it felt like it was really making the process harder in terms of the time investment and what I felt like I was getting in return.
In the Gym with Jon and Marty, 9:00 Eastern time, the only show on the planet that helps you guys get your day started, helps you not hit the snooze button, but most importantly, the only show that you can spend 50 minutes every single day with two experts, two guys who've lifted a couple things in their lifetime and put it down before. We're talking cupping, we're talking stretching, and so forth. But I'm going to tell you guys something else. This is the only show, I'm bringing Rich up on here as well. This is the only show where we teach you about emptying the clip. And it's the only show where we teach you how to wipe your ass from both sides of your body so you can get a good stretch.
It's called thoracic twist, baby. You're working thoracic twist.
So I've never been on a show. I've never been a part of a conversation, Marty or Rich, where somebody has said to me, hey, man, as you're wiping your ass with your right hand, you might want to try the left hand as well, so that as you age, you can accentuate that thoracic twist and you can stretch your body better. So, gentlemen, as you're going through your day, empty the clip, tip one. And then tip number two is wipe your ass with your opposite hand. You're going to get a good stretch in. How's that for advice, you guys?
That's pretty good, brother. That's pretty good.
Richie, comment on that.
Not sure how I would make that one happen. I think I don't know. I could wear a prosthetic, maybe.
I didn't think about that, Rich. Shit. Yeah, you know what? You're just gonna have to pretend to get that thoracic twist.
So that's Mr. Bilous here being humbled by the situation here. Jesus Christ! Oh man!
What's with you guys, man?
So listen, we're going on to kind of the deep dive part 2 of our show today. We kicked off the show with Richie, and we talked about mindset and building resilience and how to be an endurance athlete. It's not so much about physically what we do; it's more so what we do with the mindset of what we do. But here's the question I have, which is, can you push too hard? 40% of business leaders experience burnout, boys, due to pushing too hard without rest or reflection. Richie, going to look at you to start this off, pal. The dangers of grinding without rest. Yes, resilience is the key. I get it. Resilience is absolutely the key. But there's a fine line, Rich, between pushing through discomfort and damaging yourself by ignoring the warning signs like burnout. Rich, as an endurance athlete yourself, how do you know when it's not burnout, and how do you know when to keep going? And then I'm going to throw it to Johnny after that. Richie, you start first.
So one, I'm a very analytical person, and I can tell if I'm stressed out and I go for a run, it's affected. And the way that I can tell is I can look at my heart rate variability. And so there's different sets of different data points that I can look at to see, overnight, how my HRV or my body temperature is going to tell me, like, if I'm in a stressful state. And the run is affected by it. It really is. And one thing that I've found is sleep is a huge indicator of anxiety. And so, if I only get like 4 or 5 hours of sleep and I had a hard workout day the day before, I wake up and I'm a lot more anxious. But I know that that's just a chemical imbalance going on in my brain because it hasn't had a full reset. It's the same exact thing. Because it's just like a lot of us, when I start the workday, I'll look at it and I look at my watch and it's like, okay, 11 o'clock, lunch is coming up. 1 o'clock, lunch is coming up. Okay, I'll get in the night. And then before you know it, it's like 6 p.m. I haven't eaten all day. And dude, I'm just trashed. Like, I have 3 children to put to bed at night. And so the biggest thing is, it's equitable, right? Everything that you do in your physical life, it's the same thing in that business life. If you don't get the amount of self-care that you need, all you're doing is taking, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And so I think that that's very important, is to ensure that your body and mind get a reset. And sleep is one of the best ways to do that.
100%. And I'm going to jump on this. I totally agree with everything Rich said. And just so you know, Keith, as soon as I finish up with this, I got to I got to go to the toilet. I'm feeling dribble coming. So, all right. So the reason, this is what I see. And I help men in this situation all the time, because they're burned out because they're burning the candle on both sides.
Yeah.
And if you just go into what Rich is saying, sleep is so massive. Diet is right there too. There's self-care that needs to be done to operate at the highest level. And if you're not doing it, you're basically, even if you're doing it perfectly, you still have to kind of manage to make sure you don't burn out. But if you're not doing it, it's what do you expect? Come on. Why do people say, I burn out too? Well, you're not sleeping, you're not eating, you're not doing the self-care you need to be that high performance person that will allow you to do your job for any length of time without complaining about burning out.
Yeah, Johnny, you go take your break, buddy. Marty, question for you, brother.
Hold on, I want to weigh in on that.
Yeah, please do.
I wanted to say, if you're listening and you don't prioritize your rest and your sleep, I'll give you something right here. There was a time in my life I didn't prioritize it, and I burned out, and I ended up falling asleep and while driving, and got in a really bad accident. I'm fortunate to be here. So, prioritize your rest. Since that day, I've prioritized rest ever since.
No kidding.
Yeah, totaled the car and everything, but I didn't walk out with a scratch, surprisingly. So if that
wasn't a wake-up call for you, though, I don't know what would be, eh, Marty?
Yeah, that was a wake-up call for me. Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead. My bad, Keith.
Yeah, no, not your bad at all. Because I was actually going to come to the question. So my question for you, Marty, is we've talked often about approaches to recovery. We've talked about mentally or physically. You've also talked about you have to convince yourself it's time to go to bed. You got to put the phone down. I got to go to bed. Marty, how do you stay diligent about your approach to recovery? And then how do you teach your clients about the importance of recovery? Because we live in a world which is so much go, 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 go. You actually have to teach somebody, Marty, about recovery. You actually have to teach somebody about slowing down. How do you do that, Chris?
Yeah, it all comes down to accountability, right? So if I have a client who's not reaching their goal, we're going to evaluate everything you do. And if that's the first thing I go to is sleep. Why can't you go to sleep at night? Now, obviously some people are parents, they have kids, totally fine. But, the kids aren't going to bed at 11 o'clock midnight. So more than likely, probably putting the kids to bed earlier than that. So when you put the kids to bed, you go to bed. And 9 times out of 10, it's a bullshit reason why you aren't going to sleep at night. And if you have to stay up late doing something important like a work project, you probably procrastinated and waited till the last minute. So that's a wake-up call for you as well. So when it comes to rest, it all comes about accountability, putting things in order, and doing things the right way. And you'll be able to get the rest.
Yeah. Richie, people who set small, consistent goals are 76% more likely to achieve their long-term objectives. That comes from the American Psychological Association. Now, I know you and I have been talking kind of offline here about, Keith, I can do 100 miles because, I'm the guy that does 5 miles this week, 10 miles that week, and I get to 100. I'm not the guy who wakes up one day and says, I'm going to go do 100, then I can never do it again. Right? So talk about this idea, Richie, about setting micro goals to build momentum towards the big one. How you break down small goals in order to make the big, massive goals like running 100-mile marathon. Rich Ingram.
Yeah, so I think it's important in running and in racing, we have A, B, and C races, right? And so as you and I were talking, next year, I just identified 2 races, maybe 3. The big ones are canyons. So I have one in April, and then I have a 100-miler in November, and I might get into this other race. But nonetheless, and then there are B and C races in between there that help me get to the A race. And so what I do is every decision that I'm making, especially like in the business world, when I ran my own business, I would frequently tell my guys, I would just walk up to a dry erase board and write a $sign. If every decision that we are making does not, have something to do with how we're providing value, then we're doing something wrong. So it's the same way in my racing. So I have this race out in Auburn, California. Every decision that I'm making in my training environment, is this going to get me closer to that goal? And so even though I might have, 2 or 3 races in between there, I have that end goal in mind, but it's those small ones that I have to make sure that I check off to get there. And so that's how I do it. I mean, I break everything up into being minute because I can't, we can't think, 6 months. We have to have that end state of mind, and then our focus is on the building blocks to get there. So that's how I operate.
Yeah. Hey, Tina.
Checkpoints, baby.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying I love it because really what it comes down to is these different stages or different goals or whatever you want to call them, boxes to check. It's like they're just the way I look at it as goals are literally just different points that you're checking in on your journey to wherever it is you're going, because the journey never stops. You reach that goal at the top. What do? You just set another one. It's just a series of checkpoints.
That's it. Christina, as somebody who's listening in right now to this, and I know you're not an endurance athlete, but I know you're curious about
what?
It.
I'm not.
I know we've been talking.
She's a parent.
Yeah, and she's been fascinated. So as we've been getting to know, as Christina have been getting to know Rich, she's like, holy fuck, just see him do this. Like, oh yeah, I know. Like, you do this? Yeah, I know. So, Christina, as you're listening to Rich talk about endurance, and as you're learning about endurance, as we're talking about endurance, as somebody from the outside leaning in, what's one thing you're taking from the conversation from Rich on achieving big goals or battling through, or just this idea of endurance and the mental mindset? Christina Flynn.
Something I've really struggled with over time is I've always tried to hit grand slams. Everything that I do, I'm always like, let's fucking go. And oftentimes, even when I play softball, I'm like, let's go. I want to hit a grand slam. They're like, can you just fucking get on base? Can you just get on base? Because they know you. They know you can hit. They've already backed up. They're not doing what they're doing for the other girls. So they're just going to catch a fly ball. What I've had to do is really look at it from those micro goals perspective and realize, especially from an athletic perspective, Jordan wasn't winning championships when he was getting 60.
Mm-hmm.
He was winning it when he was getting 25 and 30 and doing the little things all at a time to bring it all together into something much bigger. And so that's something for me that's been reiterated in this conversation, but has been really important for me as an entrepreneur to say, listen, like risk reward, if you're always trying to swing for the fences, you're never going to do the little things. And you're actually always going to have big failures and never little ones. It hurts a lot more and it's a lot harder to come back from.
Jon, I got to think that's probably been a big part of your life as well through your career, strongman wrestling and bodybuilding, which is you had to hit singles constantly because you could not just get on stage and achieve the grand slam like that. If there's not that's the perfect analogy, isn't it, Jon? It's just a gradual procession to the top. Is that a right way for me to look at that?
Well, I mean, in my story, it's kind of. So what I did was basically I kind of stayed off the radar. I didn't really hit visibility, and this was obviously before the internet. But anyway, I just stayed off the radar. I trained, I ate, I slept. I committed to what I was doing to the point when I did hit that stage, it was just like boom. And I was able to transverse all these different arenas, so to speak, because I'd already put in the work. Now it was just a matter of taking the work and what I'd built and refining it for each different venture. So a little bit of a different approach. And keep in mind that approach came because I was insecure. I didn't believe in myself when I was younger. I actually waited too long. I should have actually started competing sooner, but I wasn't in that mindset. I still saw the fat little boy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Richie, one last thing to close with this part of the conversation before we move into our community spotlight and work towards wrapping up the show. As someone who has faced extreme physical discomfort, and I mean that with every pun intended, frankly, Rich Ingram, how do you mentally embrace the pain and push through today? My assumption is with what you've been through in your life journey, that there's in many ways nothing that your brain can't push through. Can you talk about that, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So for me, one, again, we talk about purpose. I find purpose and I find pleasure in the pain. I know that kind of sounds weird, but that's exactly how I see growth. Yes. Nothing should be easy, right? I mean, everybody be doing it, and that sounds cliche, but I know that as soon as the pain comes, like I'm getting better. And so every time that I'm not pain, I know that someone else is competing against me, and they're going to show up if I don't show up. So, that's how I keep going. And that's you have to embrace the pain, and know that it transforms you.
And that's what we do here in the lab. We embrace the pain every single day, Monday to Friday, mornings in the lab with Keith, Jon, C. Marty Fit, Christina Flynn, and our guests and our other co-host here, Rich Ingram, joining us on Wednesdays, brand new segment, Raw Resilience, Belief, all these principles that help you guys get going. And as we work to keep extending our show, when I started this thing back in March, it was, it's funny because Rich, you talk about the journey, you talk about, if it was easy, everybody would be doing this. And I'm very grateful for some nice words that Marty offered to me a couple of days ago. Like, hey, Keith, can you imagine what's going on right now with what, you did live in the lab like a year ago. It's this one thing. Now we got all these things happening. Like, I know, and it hasn't been easy because if it's easy, everybody's going to do it. Right. So this show keeps extending. We've been going at this thing 90 minutes now. We're going to add some more minutes to the show now. In this part of the show, we're going to move to our community spotlight. And Shinku Gold pops in and says, I love the pain, the tightness of the muscles, and the growth. I agree, Shinku. I'm absolutely with you. And I thank you for subscribing to our channel. I saw you subscribe to that as well. But right now, guys, we're going to go to the community spotlight. And it's the part where we get into featuring somebody. And my ambition with this part of the show, Marty, Jon, Rich, Christina, is to continue shining light on others more so than just our creator on LinkedIn. So we're going to work on this 12, 15-minute segment to keep inviting others into the show and shining light and celebrating humans, whether it's great businesses, whether it's great local communities, or whether it's just a great human being doing some great work. So today we are going to pause our discussion and for this last segment, and we're going to take the light, Marty, Christina, on this person who helps agency owners build a client sales engine to retain clients and transform them into their sales team. They have a personal story of burnout and recovery after burning out twice. We're talking about burning out, guys, while running a multi-million-dollar global marketing agency. This person shifted his focus to finding balance and purpose. They now mentor agency owners to grow from 6 to 7 figures with less stress. You know, Johnny, we've been talking about building 8-figure businesses. This person offers one-to-one mentorship and proven methods, over 12 years of experience managing 1,100 clients and helping business owners find clarity and joy in their work. This person's passionate about creating sustainable, purpose-driven growth. So today's Creator Spotlight for Mornings in the Lab for Wednesday, September 18th is this person right here. It is, man, I got to get better with my buttons. It is Colby Wagner. There we go. All right. So, Christina, we put Colby on the stage today. Colby turns marketing clients into your sales team, autonomy agency launching soon. Colby is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And Colby put a post out there and says, "This is how I die," I thought to myself. Think about this, right? I was a partner of a multi-million-dollar global top 1% marketing agency when I burnt out for the first time. Get this. His solution, boys and girls, abandoning my wife and 1-year-old to chill out for a week. On the plane, my heart stopped beating for 45 seconds before it jolted back to life. I took it as a wake-up call. 8 months later, I burnt out again. Small measures were no longer going to cut it. Christina Flynn, let's keep chatting about Colby Wagner and why we are nominating Colby for our Creator Spotlight today. Christina.
Well, I think you can tell from that about section, right? Like, he's very open. He's very authentic. He's not pretending like this is easy. He's not pretending like he has it all figured out. Colby is like every single one of us. He's building the plane while flying it. And that makes him really approachable. Then you add his experience with working with incredibly successful brands. He's worked with big agencies. I think what I love about Colby is he's saying, I'm trying to just build and develop the life that I want to lead, not what anyone else wants me to lead, not what an agency wants me to lead. I want to lead it. And so he's got kids. He's trying to do the best that he possibly can. And I think he knows that he's got a lot of expertise around things that can really help other people. And he's bringing that to light on LinkedIn. He's just a really good fucking dude. And there's not enough of really good fucking dudes out on the internet. And Colby's just one of them.
I love that. Colby, we love celebrating you, my friend. Colby Wagner, our Creator Spotlight today, Mornings in the Lab. Colby, you come join us in the lab. You come tell our story. You come talk about that journey on the airplane, about leaving your wife and kid and recognizing you're having burnout. Dude, that takes courage, my friend. And hey, I got to crack a joke. Maybe if you would have experienced some post-nut clarity, first of all, you wouldn't have gotten on that airplane.
You invite him to the show. You invite him to the show, and then throw in some questionable humor at him. Well, you got to wait till he gets here to do that, brother.
Colby, we love you, man. You come hang out with us here in the lab here, and Marty's gonna shake his head at me. He's like, "Bilous, did you just fucking say that?" Yeah, I did actually. I said that.
Awful timing.
All right, hey, what a great show today! Holy smokes, there was energy, great conversation. Did it have anything to do with the fact that this Rich Ingram guy showed up? Do you think, guys?
Probably
I
not.
think so.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit.
Don't bring him back next week.
No, don't bring him back next week. So today we started our show. We talked about raw resilience. We talked about the secret to building an endurance mindset that will help you crush your goals. We talked about emptying the clip. We talked about how to be an endurance athlete. We talked about post-nut clarity. We talked about aging, stretching, getting on the rowing machine, getting on the dumbbell rows, doing some Superman stuff. Great conversation today. It's time to get out of here. It's time to move on through the loop. It's time to move on to tomorrow. Holy smokeronies. There you go. I got to get that one on the table again today as well, you guys.
Smokeronies. Oh, man. Yeah, that little phrase is guaranteed to keep you out of the bougie club, brother.
This is absolutely.
We need to keep the earpiece with Christina. Like, don't say that.
Believe me, I was thinking about it last night. Thinking, hey, I can
be quicker on the mic.
That's right. That's right.
You got to go, brother. You got to start emptying the clip before the show, so you got better shit showing up in the ad.
I'm gonna give Richie Rich the last word today. Rich, what are you taking from today's show, brother?
One, you always got to pound one out before you make a big decision.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, man, I really love the stretching bit. Can you guys hear me? Because it's saying that
we got you, brother. We got you.
Yeah.
I love the piece with Marty and John when they're together talking, because it's just great to hear the two-way dialogue between them.
Yes.
And so yeah, some of those things I'm gonna start trying to implement, like wiping my butt with my left side. But that great show, guys. Great show. I appreciate you having me.
This is why we have Rich on the show, because he is an exceptional human being, crushing goals and moving everything forward in life. So guys, let's get out of here. I got shit to do. Christina's got shit to do. John's got shit to do. Martin's got shit to do. And Rich got shit to do as well. So nation, have a great one. We're going to get out of here. We'll see you guys tomorrow mornings in the live, 8 o'clock Eastern time. The only show to help you guys get your day started, be accountable, and reach your big, hairy, audacious goals. See you tomorrow, nation.